Welcome, and thank you for standing by. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. During the question and answer session, please press star 1 on your touch-tone phone. Today's conference is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now, I will turn the meeting over to Mr. Jared Liu. You may begin.
Great, thank you, and thanks everyone for joining us. This is a special member-only webcast, which is a monthly session held at the lunch hour. Session will last no more than an hour and will include updates from the Alliance for Community Trees and at least one ACT member, followed by questions and answers. The purpose of this session is to update members on current ACT activities, developing programs and partnerships, and future plans. And we hope that everyone will plan to join the monthly call and stay connected to the Alliance for Community Trees, urban forestry, and your peers. Before we get going, I want to thank today's sponsors who are making this possible, the Home Depot Foundation and the USDA Forest Service. Today's session is Building Capacity and Growing Sustainably with the Alliance for Community Trees. Increasing capacity in order to serve members' needs remains central to the Alliance for Community Trees mission. This plays an even larger role as our network continues to grow. 4 years ago, ACT was 60 members. Today, it's over 150. As part of these efforts, ACT recently added a development professional to its staff and implemented a comprehensive fundraising program. We hope that you'll find out about ACT's fundraising program and how it can benefit your organization and what you can do to help. Today's first speaker will be Megan Odette. Megan began her career in nonprofits as a costumer in the theater. She attended St. John's College in Annapolis, the school best known for its great books curriculum. She received her MFA in Arts Management from the University of North Carolina of the Arts and has worked in the marketing and fundraising offices of several nationally recognized arts organizations, including Theater Communications Group, the National Association for Nonprofit Theater. Megan is an avid bike commuter and can often be seen towing her 45-pound dog in a bicycle trailer through the streets of Washington, D.C. And we turn it over to Megan.
Well, thank you, Jared, for that introduction, and thank you, everyone, for listening today. I'm just going to go over very quickly what we're going to talk about during my session of the webinar. I'm going to give you a really quick overview of ACT's 2009 budget and show you how it breaks down in terms of the income that we receive and the money that we spend on member programs and other things. We're going to talk about what ACT is currently doing to raise money and what our plans are to raise money in the future, and I'm going to talk about how you can help us raise money. Just to tell you a little bit more about myself, my background is mainly in the arts, but I learned a lot about general nonprofit administration while I was in graduate school. Among the things that I studied are accounting, law, marketing, and a little bit of public policy. While I was in school, I served several internships in fundraising for local and national organizations, and after I graduated, I moved to D.C. After I moved, I worked in the marketing office of a local theater company and then as a grant writer for a classical music organization. Before coming to ACT, my main concentration in fundraising was as a grant writer. I have considerable experience writing grants for federal funding as well as private, public, and corporate foundations. Now that I'm here at ACT, I serve in a more general capacity. I still write grants, but I also provide a lot of support to the board of directors, and I work closely with Alice Walker, our executive director, on event sponsorships, like sponsorships for the annual meeting this fall, and on corporate sponsorships, which I'll be talking about in more detail in a little bit. I talked to Jared about doing this webinar for 2 reasons. First, I thought that you, as our members, might be interested to learn a little bit more about where our money comes from and how we spend it. And 2, I wanted to ask for your assistance in helping ACT continue to grow and improve its capacity to serve its members. I live in Washington, D.C. with my husband, a cat, and a dog, and my favorite tree is the red maple. So I'm just going to go over ACT's income for 2009. As you can see from this graph, the vast majority of our income comes from grants and sponsorships. Next is member dues. Then then a little bit in individual donations and program fees. Grants and sponsorships actually constitute 85% of ACT's income, so you can see it's quite significant to our budget. The money comes primarily from the Home Depot Foundation, the USDA Forest Service, the National Tree Trust, Wallace Genetics Foundation, and a few other funders. It's mostly a very small pool of large grants, which means, of course, that we don't have a very diverse fundraising base. Over the past couple of years, the ACT staff has made a real effort to increase the number of donors, and we're starting to see some success from their efforts. So we're starting to see more diverse donors and sponsors come in at lower levels. As most of you can see from this graph, ACT's funding model doesn't really follow the traditional nonprofit funding model in which the majority of your income would come from individuals and you would receive about 10% from foundations and another 10% from corporations. Because ACT is a national organization, we don't really have a local funder base to draw from the way that a localized direct service nonprofit would do. So we've had to be a little bit more creative with our fundraising. We also don't follow a traditional trade association model because we don't make a lot of money off of member dues. Our purpose is not to make a profit off of our members. We're here to serve you. So we try to keep our membership revenue our membership dues as low as possible. Member revenue, while it is an important source of unrestricted income for ACT, is and will continue to be just a small fraction of ACT's income. The program revenue is mostly the money that we make from fees for training sessions and the annual conference, and that is also small, and that is also projected to remain small. And you can see from looking at the chart of our expenses that the vast majority of our expenses are spent on programs, either grants to our members, which is about, let me see, that's about 32% of our expenses, and program delivery is another 58%. So you can see that the vast majority of the money goes directly back to our members, either in the form of grants or in the form of programs like printing and mailing Neighborhoods Month materials, hosting webinars, and the time and resources we spend organizing things like the annual meeting and the policy summit. We do charge a nominal fee for some of these programs, but many others, like the webinars and the policy summit, are free of charge to members. The grants that we have here include the Neighborhoods grants, the Neighborhoods Month mini grants, travel scholarships, and some other local sponsorships. Administration and fundraising, the little white slice of the pie, is only 10% of our budget. So that 10% includes the salary of fundraising staff, overhead, keeping the lights on, paying the rent, everything that we do just to keep ACT running that's not directly related to programs. And at 10%, it is lower than the average across nonprofits. So we're doing a pretty good job of running a lean and mean organization. And I hope you can see that we're running as efficiently as we possibly can. I started at ACT about 6 months ago. And since that time, I've been working with Alice and with the board on developing some fundraising goals for the next couple of years. Obviously, we all understand that with the economic climate being uncertain, we can't make any hard and fast predictions for the next year or for the next 5 years. But we're seeing a lot of movement toward the goals that we have set, and so we're optimistic that we are going to meet them. As you all know, it's key to have a diverse base of funders at various levels of support, and as you saw on the graph of our income, we don't really have that right now. We're currently working on developing funders who give at every level and developing a much broader portfolio of funders. So we're cultivating a variety of prospects to supplement the big leadership gifts that we receive from the Home Depot Foundation and the USDA Forest Service. We're also working on gaining broader corporate support. We've found that corporate partners are attracted to ACT because we have this national reach, which is great because it's the problem that we have in finding local funding is that we don't have a strong presence in any one city or state. So corporations are finding us attractive because of our affiliate network that reaches into cities and states across the country. And currently, with environmentalism becoming so popular, we're seeing a big uptick in sponsorship opportunities. Sometimes these can develop into long-term partnerships, and sometimes they're just one-time promotional events over the course of, 3 months in 10 cities. But either way, it's a great opportunity for ACT to receive unrestricted support and for ACT members to receive more exposure in their communities and in the national spotlight. We're also hoping to institute an individual donor program. As I said, ordinarily, most nonprofits receive the majority of their income from individual donors, and ACT, simply because of the model that it's set up under, will probably never conform to that national model. But we'd like to expand the slice of the pie that is individual support. We believe that individual support is an important and hopefully a reliable source of income. So we'd love in a couple of years to be able to get 10% of our contributed income from individuals. At this time, we've secured most of the usual suspects, that is, our most reliable funders for this year, the U.S. Forest Service, the Home Depot Foundation, a couple of others. We've been working on a few other new sponsorships as well. One is with CSX, the freight train company, and another is our partnership with the American Bar Association's Million Trees project. In a lot of these sponsorships, the majority of the money goes primarily to local members, and that's a model that we encourage. And we've also received a challenge grant from the Home Depot Foundation this year. The Home Depot Foundation has challenged us to raise a match of $100,000 in new operating support in order to receive the last $100,000 of this year's Home Depot Foundation grant. This is an exciting challenge, and we are already working on ways to meet that goal for the end of 2009 and the beginning of fiscal year 2010. In the future, we're developing a couple of new fundraising programs, and we're pretty excited about those as well. One is a business associate membership, which is a way for people in the nursery and tree care industries to get involved with ACT. We're also looking at broadening our board of directors to include more corporate representatives and representatives from fields that are linked either directly or indirectly with urban forestry. Public health would be one example. And we are also beginning an annual fund campaign this fall to solicit individual donations. So you'll all be getting a letter from us before the November conference, and we hope that you'll consider supporting ACT with a personal gift. Okay, so this is the fun part. This is the part where we ask for your help, and I hope that you'll all consider helping ACT raise money through one of these ways. The first and the most important is for you to serve as an ambassador for Alliance for Community Trees. We ask all of our members to display an affiliation with ACT on their website, which would include an ACT logo and a link back to the ACT website. You're also free to include that logo in printed materials, on your signage, and even on your letterhead if you like. But the website is the bare minimum that we ask our members to participate on. You can also help us by recruiting additional members. Obviously, nonprofits has been the primary source of membership so far, but we do have some government agencies that have joined Alliance for Community Trees, so we encourage you to encourage your local government agencies at the city or state levels to consider joining ACT. You can also encourage some of your vendors to join our new business associate membership, which you'll be hearing more about shortly, in the future, rather, excuse me. Not only would your vendors get the good public relations of supporting a worthy nonprofit, but they would also get national exposure by being affiliated with ACT, and they would get contacts with even more potential clients. Another way that you can serve as an ambassador for ACT is to open the doors for ACT to meet with potential sponsors, and that's something that Marcia's going to discuss in more detail in a couple of minutes. I do want to emphasize that we're not trying to siphon away the members' local funding. We're looking at, ACT would be looking at pools of money that sponsors have set aside for national marketing and sponsorships rather than locally based marketing and sponsorships. So we do want to work in collaboration with our members, and we do want to support our members. So we hope you don't feel that we are trying to compete with you, because we're definitely not. Another easy way for you to help support ACT is to supply us with information. And by that I mean information about your demographic groups and the people you serve. I'm going to give an example of a recent company that contacted us for sponsorship, and they were interested in possibly sponsoring ACT members in a specific set of cities, and they wanted to know some very detailed demographic information about the members in those cities. So this was several weeks of multiple rounds of phone calls and emailing out surveys to find out things like how many donors each organization had, how many volunteers, what was the overlap between donors and volunteers, what was the average income of volunteers and donors, and how many special events they had each year. Excuse me. And we presented this information to the sponsor in a very generalized, averaged format. So we were not presenting any confidential information about any specific organization to the sponsor. But if you have this kind of information, please feel free to share it with us. We do keep it confidential. And this is the kind of information that potential sponsors are interested in knowing about our member organizations and the people that we serve, because they want to know who the audience is for their sponsorships and who their name and logo is going to reach if they sponsor members or if they invite members to join in a national sponsorship campaign. If you don't have this information, you might want to consider tracking it for your records as well as for ACT's convenience. It's good information to have, and it's great to be able to go to someone who's thinking about sponsoring you and lay out for them exactly who they're going to reach by working with you. Finally, the last way you can help is by donating to ACT. As I mentioned, we are beginning an individual fundraising campaign this fall. So if you find our services useful, we hope that you'll consider contributing to our annual fund campaign. So that is my overview of how we're raising money for ACT. And we hope that you'll consider one of the ways that you can join in our fundraising. And I want to thank you for everything that you've done to promote the role of trees in improving the health and livability of our cities. And I want to thank you for tuning into this webcast. And I'm going to turn it back to Jared now.
Great. Thanks, Megan. Trish, can you open the lines for questions, please?
Thank you. We will begin the question and answer session now. If you would like to ask a question, please press *1. You will be prompted to record your name. Make sure you have unmuted your phone. To withdraw your request, press *2. One moment, please, for the first question.
Great. And if anyone's shy and wants to remain anonymous, you're welcome to type in a question to the Q&A manager up at the top of your screen. I can come over the line and read your question for you. So we like to break now just to see if there are questions for the first presenter, but also if we don't have any questions or if it's people are still pondering on them, we'll move to Marcia's presentation, and then you're welcome to ask Megan questions after that as well.
We do have a question.
Great, thanks.
Just a moment, please. Jennifer Smith, your line is now open.
Hi, Megan.
Yes. Hi.
Hi. We met in Washington, D.C. I'm from Tennessee.
Yeah.
Met your dog and your husband.
And the trailer.
and the trailer. Anyway, I work with the Tennessee Urban Forestry Council, and I'm just curious to know, as a potential membership drive for you all, are there, I know other councils that are members, but by and large, are the councils percentage-wise members of ACT?
I can field that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know that we have a few members, but I don't know what percentage of the whole they are. So, Jared, if you could take that question.
Yeah, I think we probably have about councils.
About how many?
About 10 to 20%.
Okay.
Do you have thoughts for engaging more councils?
Well, I didn't know if y'all ever wanted to do a direct to them, and you could get some of us that are to do, if you put a letter together and had included some testimonials or whatever.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
That's a great idea. We had a webcast a few months ago where we had Marilyn Beckley from Georgia Urban Forest Council.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Bill Hasher from the North Carolina Urban Forest Council, just talk about how, in general, urban forest councils work and help people in their community. But I would like to engage more councils, so I'll follow up with you on that.
Just on since this call is about fundraising, that's more membership, I guess, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Plus get a more broader demographic.
Yeah.
Other questions in queue?
I am showing no other questions at this time.
Okay. So we will move on to Marsha's presentation. Like I said, you can hold your questions for Megan after Marsha's as well, and either of them will be available. So thanks, Megan. Marsha Vansley is Executive Director of Trees Atlanta. She's an Atlanta native and has been actively involved in the conservation movement for 26 years. She received her undergraduate degree from Vanderbilt University and her law degree from Emory University. She is an attorney and served as a law clerk to the Regional Counsel of the Environmental Protection Agency and as an intern to U.S. Senator Sam Nunn. Among her numerous national awards are the National Arbor Day Award, the National Stafford Award, and the Gardens for Peace 15th Anniversary Award. In 1992, she received Georgia's Environmental Woman of Action Award and the American Institute of Architects Special Award for Excellence. Marsha was recently recognized as one of 20 women making a mark on Atlanta by Atlanta Magazine. Business to Business magazine featured Marsha as a diva in a recent issue about Atlanta's top female executives. And we're thrilled to have Marsha, who continues to be a part of the Alliance for Community Trees and was one of the original founding members, here to talk about this topic. The floor is yours. Thanks, Marsha.
Thank you. My topic today is how to bring in more resources for the Alliance for Community Trees from the contacts that each one of us has in our own communities. And one of the things that, for an example, is that Trees Atlanta was able to connect up ACT with the Home Depot Foundation many years ago. Our development person had already met the development person at Home Depot, and we had gotten some grants from them, but we said, do you know about this whole wonderful thing, this national organization called Alliance for Community Trees, and it'd be great if you all would connect up with them also. So it worked out very well. We took Alice and other folks from Alliance for Community Trees, and I went with them, of course, to the foundation directors, and that's how we got the Home Depot Foundation interested in this. And one of their main focuses now is trees. And I think one of the things that we all have working for us right now is everybody wants to be green and everybody wants to be seen as green. So I think there's some fantastic opportunities out there. On my cover page here, you see the UPS logo. We also have UPS. We had one of the senior executives on the board for Trees Atlanta, and we went out to talk to UPS about grants and so forth, and I also said the same story. You all need to know about the Alliance for Community Trees and what an important job it's doing throughout the whole United States, because you all are a national company. And we have talked with UPS, and it's working. Sometimes it's like going trout fishing. You have to put out a lot of baits out there and then see what happens. And so we've been having discussions for about 2 years, but you never know when it's going to finally happen. And UPS in their corporate headquarters office has a big mural, and part of the mural is somebody's planting a tree. So I hung on to that one and said, hey, this is what you're talking about, so why don't y'all do more for Alliance for Community Trees? Also, just being out there and knowing that sharing these big guys, these big corporations with ACT is not going to diminish your funding, because generally it comes from two different pots of money, the national money and the local money. And so it's very helpful, I think, to also to show them that you as an organization are connected with a bigger cause. It's very impressive to them that, I'm part of a national organization that has 150 members, and you all ought to get involved over there too. So those are the major factors. Is don't be afraid to share your major donors with ACT, because it is a different point of view, and it's going to help you as an individual group get more credibility, because you're a member of this huge national organization that's so effective and so well respected. I think you want to ask any questions, Megan?
I just wondered what was the process behind introducing ACT to some of these organizations? You said that you basically set up interviews and then brought Alice along.
Yes, but what I did was basically talk to the foundation people and give them basically a preliminary talk, like, you all ought to know about Alliance for Community Trees and how important it is. And it was a one-on-one that I was talking to somebody at the foundation. And generally, you don't see them very often, but they're kind of talkative when you do get to see them. And so then you just are real friendly and say, this is National Alliance for Community Trees. It's something really important. And, I'd love to tell you more about it. You tell them some about it right then, because they're not going to be interested unless you sell it some. And then I said, could we set up an appointment so you could meet Alice? And by the way, she's going to be in town shortly. And then I call up Alice, and Alice comes in town shortly. So it's not exactly that it's a cold call for Alice, and it's not exactly that, she just happens to be in Atlanta. She flies down here basically to set up the meeting. And then I go with her. And so we work together and say, this is why it's important. And did you know that all these national groups are part of it? And basically try to let them know that it's going to help that company if they're connected with Alliance for Community Trees. And we have not lost any of the support from the individual corporations by introducing ACT. So I think if people are leery about that part of it, it's not a thing to be scared of, because they're not going to run away and leave you if you've already got a relationship with them. At least that's so far what I found. Megan, any more questions?
Yeah. What do you think funders find attractive about getting involved with ACT?
Well, the fact that it's national and that it is people all over the country doing something environmental, and a lot of these big corporations have got, divisions all over the United States, and they want to be seen all over the United States. And part of the thing that I think appeals is, if they have, for example, something in Denver, some corporate connection in Denver and so forth, they can get their employees involved. And so there's a double deal there, not just being seen as a good corporate sponsor, but also having their employees think about them as green. So that's been appealing to them, that they can go all over the country and have, the equivalent of the neighborhoods. There's room for neighborhood sponsorship too. So I think that appeals to them, and the fact that we're all active in one particular thing, trees, that's the thing that unites us. So I've been plugging it as far as very national in scope and very important, and people are highly passionate about trees. And so I think, and then again, the employee connection, because sometimes the employee connection will be the absolute most important thing. The UPS Foundation likes to give first after its employees have gotten connected up. So if you're smart, you go and get the employees connected up and then go ask UPS for money. And I don't know exactly how we're going to make it appeal to UPS on a national basis, but they are under pressure. A lot of corporations are under pressure to have their employees involved in the communities, and this is sort of an easy way. In our case, when we plant trees, we do it on Saturday morning, and we do it from 9 to 12 and then have pizza. That's a nice little thing that they don't have to sign up for the rest of their lives to be involved with us. So it's I think that appeals a lot.
Okay, and what kind of companies make good partners for ACT? So if I were a member organization and I was considering introducing ACT to an organization, what would be some criteria to look at?
Any corporation that has a national scope, I mean, I don't think they have to be totally green. I think they have to realize that green's important, but they don't have to be totally green. And you can just, wherever you live, there might be one or two major corporations that, are at least, say, example, in the region, if not in the whole country. If they're in the region, that'll be okay. And so you never know. I mean, I think you have to broach the idea with whoever you're getting money from already. Think creatively and go try to expand their horizons and your horizons. I really have no little bits of, oh yes, this is the perfect one, because you can make it the perfect one if you talk long enough, and you can convince people that this is something they ought to be seen in, and things like, everybody's financially stressed right now, so it's a tough time, but they still want to be seen as environmental because the whole new Obama presidency and all the green things that are going on, they want to be seen as part of it. I went to a thing, another possibility might be power companies because they're getting a lot of flack now for, global warming and things, so big power companies might be a possibility. We're talking to some of them hopefully next week, so we'll see what happens there. Other questions, please?
I don't have any more questions. Do we have any questions on the line, Jared?
Trish, can you open up the lines, please?
You betcha. Once again, this is the time for questions and answers. If you should have a question, please press *1. Please make sure you have unmuted your phone as you will be requested to record your name. One moment, please, for the first question.
Great, thanks. And I'm curious just to hear more too, Marcia, about the benefits to Trees Atlanta. Aside from your affiliation with the Alliance for Community Trees, what motivates you once you're in the room to mention this?
It's kind of like, we're well connected in the whole country, and you want to hear how well connected we are because we're involved in this wonderful national organization. So I think it adds a little panache, we'll use that word, to Trees Atlanta to say we're not just a local group. And what I mentioned to them is that we work nationally together and we bring in new ideas, new programs, and so forth. And so it's always helpful to have the impetus of being connected nationally because we learn a lot. We learn about scientific things that, you might not have known locally by going to the meetings, and I just talk to them about how valuable it is to us and then how valuable it can be to them.
Great. We've got two questions online. First is, I believe, directed to Megan. Are you willing to share the approximate numbers for your budget? Example, what does 10% compute to?
Hold on one second while I pull that up. The total expenses last year, the 2009 budget for ACT were about $533,000, and that's unaudited figures, so please don't take that as gospel. And that breaks down into about $53,000 for administration and fundraising. So that's that would constitute 10% of our expenses for 2009.
All that has to be posted on the Form 990 anyway.
Yeah.
It's not exactly a secret.
Yeah.
Okay. And the next question actually might be for me. Scott Brewer at the City Forester in Carmel, Indiana, asked if they can get the ACT logo and add it to their website. For everyone is absolutely. I'll mention and I will email it to Scott, and anyone who emails me, I'd be happy to email it to you. But in your membership renewal letters, in bold towards the bottom, there is an address where you can go and download the logos, and they come in a variety of sizes and orientations, so it can fit whatever space. So to Scott, I will email it to you. For anyone else, email me or check your member renewal letter. Thanks.
I would make a plug, too, for anybody who's talking to a corporation at these conventions and stuff, like the Home Depot Foundation. Make sure that they understand that what they're doing is important to you as an individual and to your organization, because the feedback from the people who are benefiting from it goes a very long way. And if we just say we assume that it's always going to be there, that's the wrong assumption. You've got to basically keep them happy and let them know how important they are to us.
I do have a question on the line.
Great, go ahead.
Jennifer Smith, your line is now open again.
Hey, Marcia.
Hi, Jennifer.
A couple of things. Jared, will you send that link to me, too?
Absolutely.
And just as a FYI, we actually now have a Trees Nashville.
Good. I heard it was happening. That's great.
It's happening as we speak, so that's exciting. And I just wanted, Marcia, you were mentioning big utility companies.
Mm-hmm.
What is a big utility company? Is that?
Well, in our case, maybe Southern Company, which is about 4 states.
Right.
I don't know if they're in Tennessee, but I know they're in Alabama and Florida and Georgia.
Right.
And so, that's one of the, when I'm saying something like that, because they want to be as green as they can be, and if they can be green for not much money, that's what they'd like to be. We're trying to start, just to let y'all know, and this is very, very, very preliminary, program like they have in the SMUD program, which is planting the trees for utilities and so forth.
Sacramento?
Yes, Sacramento, I couldn't think except SMUD. Yes, Sacramento. So we're literally talking to them about in a week, and we've been trying to get them to listen to us for 10 years. So if they do decide to do it, it'll be, and by the way, I send them all the ACT, the notices and updates, and so that's been a good help to help them catch on that this is part of a national thing and they ought to be connected. So talk to your utility and talk to the top guy if you can, a woman. I don't think there are many utility women, but go for it. Y'all have also that distributing company up there, the Jack Daniels folks, too.
Mm-hmm. We get something. Yeah, that's true. Okay, that's what I was wondering. Thank you.
It's never easy being green.
No. No.
We have to look at it, though. We've survived for a long time, so we keep on surviving.
Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you, Jennifer.
I'm showing no other questions at this time.
Okay, great. Well, we'll wrap it up then. Megan or Marcia, if you have any.
Why did I give everybody my phone number if they have any questions? It's 404-681-4905. They can call or they can email, and email is Marcia, M-A-R-C-I-A, @treesatlanta.org.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks, Marcia. And Megan, do you have anything else you want to jump in with before we wrap up?
No, I just want to thank everyone who tuned in today.
Okay.
I agree. Thank you all.
So the presentations from today, the recorded session, and the resource list will be available on our website in about a week. And now I'm putting up a URL if everyone can go there. There are a couple questions. It should be a pretty quick thing. It helps us to program our sessions better, helps you to, or allows you to give some feedback on the session and some suggestions for future sessions as well. So if you can all complete that, that would be hugely helpful to us. The next members-only webcast is on Neighborhoods Month. It's Neighborhoods Month 101, Part 2. For anyone who missed Part 1, we'll have, or wants to join a different call, we'll have a couple other groups talking about what they do for Neighborhoods Month. And like always, it'll be the first Thursday of the month for the members-only webcast, so it'll be Thursday, October 1st at 1 o'clock Eastern. With that, I want to thank our presenters, Megan and Marcia, everyone who joined today, as well as our sponsors, the Home Depot Foundation and the USDA Forest Service. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for participating in today's call. Our call is concluded. You may disconnect your line at this time.